Oi, this is Archie Nigelson, Nigel's cousin. He's a bastard. Listen to these boys. They know their shit, all right, about metal. Listen to a Metal Nerdery podcast. You can follow them on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, at Metal Nerdery Podcast. On Twitter, you can see them at Metal Nerdery. And they got email, right? Send them a fucking email. Metal Nerdery, all one word, right? At gmail.com. It's metalnerdery@gmail.com. Email these boys. They want to hear from you. Anyway, this is Archie Nigelson. Fuck off, right?
Thanks, Archie.
Anytime, right? Love you guys. You're blokes, right? Fucking blokes who know your shit about metal. Don't talk to Nigel anymore. He's a cunt. Anyway. Sorry, I don't mean to be abrasive. It's Sunday.
I mean, what did you and Nigel don't get along? I mean,
he's all stuck up, right? It's like he acts like he listens to metal. I'm like, no, you don't. You fucking like Lawrence Welk and shit like that. You're not listening to metal. Wow. I mean, he liked Barry Manilow back in his death metal days before he died, but, you know, anyway, he's just
Barry's
a bastard.
dead yet.
No, I think he died. I think somebody murdered him. No?
True black metal fashion?
Yeah, I think they put the face makeup on him. Yeah, oh shit, Christ, it's Sunday. I gotta go to church. Anyway. Later, mates.
This is Metal Nerdery.
This is Nigel Nigelson, and you're listening to Metal Nerdery. Please follow them on the social media. They are now on Twitter at Metal Nerdery. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram at Metal Nerdery Podcast, and search for them out in the Googles at metalnerdery.com/podcast. This is Obvious Osborne. That guy's British. Isn't it obvious?
Hey, it's Sabbath Sunday.
That's right, it is Sabbath Sunday.
As a matter of fact, it is.
Welcome all to Sabbath Sunday, and welcome
That's why we're here.
To the Nerdery of Metal, the Metal Nerdery. Okay, now you go. Well, one time I fucked up and stole your line, and I felt like a dick. I'm like, all right, man, it's like his minute to shine.
We are here.
I stole it.
We are here today to celebrate a milestone.
The milestone in metal history, which occurred originally on Friday, February 13th, 1970, with thunder and church bells and general evilness.
All that was added in without the band even knowing about it. Did you know that?
Don't deny the power of Satan.
Roger Bain and the engineer put that in. Yeah. The band, they recorded it and they took off, and then they sat there and did their twiddly niddly. Sounded properly British.
Those guys were fucking brilliant with their twiddly niddlies, weren't they?
But
we're talking about the first Black Sabbath album, by the way, by Black Sabbath. Not to be confused with.
It's a perfect Georgia winter morning here.
Yeah, it's rainy
outside of Atlanta, overcast.
Screams for Black Sabbath to be played at maximum volume.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to the Sabbath.
Cheers to the Sabbath.
It's not even lunch yet, and we're going to clink.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean, Bill, at the next frosting break, Bill can bring us all Fireball. Anyway.
Fireball.
So, yeah. Anyway, Black Sabbath, the game changer.
That is the game changer. That's probably the most important metal album in history. Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
I guess that's why once we get further down here and where it's ranked on some other people's list, kind of surprises me. I'm like, what? Because it was like the album.
Yeah.
Hashtag enjoy the tease.
Which I have to admit, I mean, I wore it out when I was younger, but I haven't really listened to it a lot in recent years.
Really?
Yeah, there's so much crap to listen to. I get sidetracked, which is
I can understand that.
Which is the beauty of this whole show, is going back and re-listening to things with older, wiser ears.
The rediscovery.
It's on it's on the regular for me.
Yeah.
Almost weekly.
I can't get tired of it. I do not get tired of it. I'm always hearing something from that album.
But I've
always
just this past few days, I can't tell you how many times I've listened to it. And
it's just like that.
It's one of those too where, despite how old it is, there's something brilliant like every time you listen to it.
Oh yeah.
Like this recent round of me listening to it more, I've been appreciating Geezer a lot. Not that I didn't before, but just really listening to how the bass fits in the mix.
Like his part or the structure.
Which I think, in a general sense, I was thinking about this on the way over here. Geezer kind of gives the whole thing that warm feeling.
He's kind of the glue, yeah, because he's sort of the glue that keeps the drums and the guitar together, but it does kind of give it that.
Well, because back in the
depth.
70s, the guitar, I mean, it was more of the guitar was more your treble instrument, the bass was the bass. Not like today where the guitar's got so much bottom into it. So you've got the guitar on that high end, and you got the drums, and Ozzy's voice is kind of up there.
Yeah.
So it's like Geezer is kind of like the anchor.
I was just thinking the anchor.
It's a beautiful thing.
For sure.
Especially when there's certain parts where he's got a little bit of drive on it, Yeah.
Yeah.
Gives that little bit of fuzz.
Well, and the way he played, he wasn't your traditional. I mean, I don't want to take away from Ian Hill, but I mean, Geezer Butler was not your traditional bass player.
He was all over the place.
Yeah.
He was almost like the Neil Peart of bass players.
Yeah, it was one thing I read. He was like, he thinks one thing that helped Sabbath kind of define their sound was he was a guitar player. So he's like, bass players are supposed to be, and in his mind, he was like, bass players are supposed to be playing all these melodic lines, which I kind of think he was to a point. But he's like, a lot of the time I was just doubling Tony. So it kind of gave it a more cohesive, thicker sound.
It gave the balls, but like when he would do his different stuff, it filled it out.
Right, exactly. Which then in turn, thinking about all that, got me thinking about Typo Negative.
Yeah.
Peter Steele's bass
Same
sound.
vibe.
It's just Peter Steele's bass sound is the anchor of that whole thing.
It fills the bottom.
Fills the void.
The void, yeah.
Fully fills the bottom.
The bottom.
No, this is Nigel Nigelson. We're talking about filling the bottom.
Nigel, did you get past Archie? What? I mean,
he's Celtic frosting at the moment, so
okay.
Snuck in. I'm going to go back and have pasta with Millie. His voice is still recovering, but pasta, bloody good, bloody jolly good, Millie. Thank you, sir.
Bloody jolly, huh?
Well, that's the BJ rating for the pasta. Anyway, can you imagine? I don't know if y'all know the story, but the gatefold. And we'll probably get to this later, but. Even the release date for the first Black Sabbath album was Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
awesome.
The head of the record label basically said, "Yeah, I did that on purpose."
Sweet.
He was like, well, why not? I mean, they kind of had that aura to him, so yeah, he did that on purpose.
That's like the pre-badass level of like releasing two albums on 9/11. I mean, one on the original 9/11 and then one on a later anniversary. But yeah, just Friday the 13th, and then there was like an upside down cross on the gatefold inside the album, which blew people away. I mean, think this is 1970. This was flower power and hippies and acid and free love and love everybody and all that. And then these guys come in with the bulls and the metal and the evil.
One of the reviews I found basically said this is the album that ate hippies for breakfast.
Nice.
But I don't know. I think a good place to start with this is just the album cover.
Oh, yeah. Now, you think about 1970, so that's 50 years ago. It's half a century. I still look at that album cover, and it's still, even though I know it's staged, it still just has that creepy factor to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that genuine fucking, holy shit, that's creepy. Kind of like that house down the street from your house. It's even creepier in the fucking rain. I swear to God, dude. I think I was listening to Wicked World today when I passed it, and I was just like, they got a U-Haul truck out back.
I saw that today.
Transporting bodies? What the fuck is going on?
I figured that would throw Matt for a loop. Now they got a U-Haul.
I think maybe a serial killer lives there, but I'm not going to give out the address. But anyway, it's equally as creepy as the first Black Sabbath album cover. Y'all got to admit that shit looked creepy.
It is a little weird.
For 1970,
you're talking about
the fuck out of people.
Okay, we switched.
Oh yeah, the house. Yeah, the house is equally weird, but you got to admit the album cover is bizarre.
See, Jace.
I love it.
The guy that shot the album cover had kind of previously done some work for Bowie and Rod Stewart, and then he got mixed in with Sabbath.
Oh, cool.
I think he did the first 4, maybe 5 Sabbath albums.
Really?
Like that, yeah. Same guy.
The album art or the photography?
Or the photography.
Yeah. That's a haunting picture, though. I mean, for years, I thought that was actually Ozzy with, green makeup on. And then when I found out it was a chick, I was kind of, there it is. Look at that. How evil would you think that is if you saw that? If I saw that today, that would be fucking evil.
Well, there's a lot of bands. I mean, you look at their album artwork and you can tell they're definitely going for that vibe even today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, you know, it's like anytime you see Slayer with the upside down crosses, that's a direct nod to Black Sabbath. And let's be honest, it's a direct nod to Satan.
Yeah, the guy, Keith, he,
Fucking Alexa.
What the shit?
we have our own ghost.
Jesus Christ, that scared the fuck out of me. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Black Sabbath, upside down cross, don't deny the power of Satan, and then I hear voices. What the shit? Hashtag heart failure. Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, almost had a doozy there.
It was
Sorry
crazy,
about
eh?
A little Alexa started talking.
Jesus. Seriously, hashtag don't deny the power of Satan.
Satan was about to show his power on all of us,
I
right?
think he was about to join the show, yeah.
That was awesome.
We're only talking about his favorite album. And ours.
Yeah, the photographer basically said he just started listening to the album to get, like, you know, the vibe.
Inspired.
Listening to it on old quarter-inch master tape back in the old days. Do stuff like that.
And let's be honest, it was probably in a room that was wall-to-wall suicide paneling and shag carpeting. Can we at least put that out there?
I'm sure.
It's fitting for this episode.
The head of the record label basically told him, do whatever you want. Kind of cool, I guess,
Yeah.
for an artiste.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's also appropriate for this episode.
Thought we were listening to Sleep. Huh?
Sorry.
Hello?
Sorry. Laughter spike. Also influenced by Black Sabbath.
I guess he found that location. A friend of his lived near there. That old house, barn, mill, whatever the hell it is.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, a friend of the show, Nick, found a picture. It was some cable show. And it was a picture of that house or that church or that building on the cover of the first Black Sabbath album. But it was...
Yeah, you can find it online.
But it was talking about... It was whatever the documentary was, but he saw it, or whatever the show was, but he saw it and he was like, that looks fucking familiar. I was like, yeah. And then I posted the picture of the cover and he's like, I knew it.
Yeah, he used a special kind of a film for aerial photographs. Gave it that pinkish look. And then he kind of tweaked it. Said it gave it that slightly dark, surrealistic, evil kind of feeling to it.
He fucking nailed it.
Yeah, it did.
And then he boiled it and froze it and did all kind of weird crap to make it grainy
What
looking.
the shit?
That's before you could just click
Yeah.
filter buttons.
Right.
Hashtag ingenuity, people.
Old school photography there.
Ingenuity, people.
Yeah, the place is called the Maple Durham Watermill, 15th century structure in Oxfordshire.
You know that shit was haunted. You know it was.
Did Archie, are you familiar with that location?
No, I ain't seen it. I mean, me and Nigel went on trips as kids, but I ain't fucking been to that place. It was fucking haunted as fuck to me, though. But there were a bunch of soccer players there. Football maniacs. Fuck it. Millie, you got more pasta, lad? Alright, let me get a beer. I'll be right there.
He called a London modeling agency. And I guess that's when they sent that Laura Livingstone over there. And evidently, under the cape, she wasn't wearing anything.
Oh.
Ooh.
Hey, settle down.
Hashtag evil woman.
I guess they had done some more risque type photographs, but they figured that didn't fit the vibe, the evil,
Sure.
doomy, gloomy.
It's
Right.
not evil enough.
Because, come on, let's face it, guys, chicks showing skin, they're like, evil? I don't care, whatever.
For those of you who are interested, if you want to see an album cover with, nude chick parts on it, go check out Demi Borger. They've got an album that's got that. Sorry, it's related to Sabbath tangentially, so we'll go back now.
And it's questionable whether or not there was a cat in the photograph or not. The photographer says there was. The girl says there wasn't. He says she was holding a cat. She says she wasn't.
Oh, interesting.
She was like, if I was holding a cat, I think I'd remember.
I've never heard of
Like
that.
I just said, haunted. I have a feeling that whole fucking area is haunted. It has to be. 15th century? Somebody died there. At least one, tragically. That makes it even more metal.
Yeah, she said she had her hands the way she did. She was trying to stay warm because it was so freaking cold.
Mm.
But
She's freezing her tits off.
that's just a little bit about the album cover there. He
Cool.
went on to do a lot more. But
That is a captive album cover, though. It definitely gets your attention.
oh yeah, this I couldn't remember. The photographer's assistant is the one that wrote the poem inside the cross.
Oh, shit. So there's a Okay, now I got to know what the poem is. Sabbath poem? Or was it the lyrics to the song?
Which is another thing the band had. The band,
Yeah, I thought it was the lyrics.
supposedly it's a poem.
Huh.
I don't know. I never looked into it.
Yeah.
Going through now, but
I'm intrigued with it again.
but supposedly nothing about the album packaging at all. Sabbath had like no part in that. Just like the mix where
Really?
they added the rain and the bells and the thunder and all that.
Yeah.
Sabbath had nothing to do with that.
Wow.
But the album cover, the whole package was the record label just did it.
They fucking nailed it.
Well, yeah. Then the band said that they did like it. Except I think Bill didn't like the upside down cross thing in there. But whatever.
Just because he thought Jesus might be upset. But let's be honest, God listens to Slayer, so God listens to Sabbath too. Don't deny the power of not Satan. Some blokes from Birmingham.
Right. So yeah, everybody knows Tony on guitar, Geezer, bass, Bill, drums, Ozzy, vocals, and harmonica.
This is obvious Osborne. I also play harmonica. Isn't it obvious?
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Obvious, for piping in. Very appropriate.
Produced by Roger Bain, who also played the Jew's harp on Sleeping Village.
I gotta know, what is a Jew's harp?
That's that thing that you hear that in all the old westerns.
Oh.
That boing, kind of whatever.
So the sound my dick makes when it gets hard. Boner. It's the sound of a boner being flicked. Like those door things, the door stops. When you go, brrr. Okay, sorry.
Somebody heard that and said, I need a musical instrument that makes that sound.
It's fucking cool.
Engineered by Tom Allum and Barry Sheffield.
Gentleman associated with greatness.
And as aforementioned, Marcus Keefe on the graphic design and photography.
Photography. Marcus Keefe.
That's not his real name. Evidently, he kind of tweaked his name so he wouldn't get confused with somebody else.
Like an anagram of sort.
Oh, interesting.
I wonder if that was like Matt Pike as a teenager. Well, no, that would have meant that he'd be 80 years old and high on fire by now, so obviously it wasn't that.
Right.
Shut up, Matt. You're being a distractive asshole.
I know what you're talking about, but okay. I'm not going to disagree with you. Recorded at Regent Sound Studios, London, England, in 12 hours.
Jesus.
10/16/1969.
That is ridiculous.
$1,200 too, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, the album cost $1,200 to make.
1,200. They sold 1 million copies
Wow.
that year.
Which
That's fucking impressive.
that would have been like $8,000 today, close to $8,000.
But that's probably why Warner Brothers knew what they were doing, because if it sold 1 million copies in 1970, they were probably looking to scare the absolute bejeebus out of everybody, and that's probably why they did all that.
Did you say
other shit.
bejeebus?
I said bejeebus. So I could say bejesus. I'm not afraid.
And as aforementioned, released Friday the 13th, 1970. On Vertigo. Was originally recorded for a label called Fontana Records, and then they switched it over to Vertigo.
Vertigo sounds more metal.
They said Vertigo is their more progressive side or whatever, which in going back and listening to this more the last few days, you could almost argue that this was kind of a progressive album.
I would say that.
In ways.
Well, I think the way they had those suites orchestrated, because that was, if anybody that's familiar with familiar
I'm
with
not-
progressive
Not
music,
familiar with that.
it usually has like suites, and Red Child America was like that. There were like moments where they would transition.
They had
change.
movements.
Movements, yes. There was shit in the middle. Yes, that's what I'm saying. But those suites like that, like the whole Behind the Walls Sleep and Sleeping Village, they kind of had that progressive vibe to
That's
it.
kind of what I'm saying. They had different, it'd get quiet, a little bit of guitar here, and a little bass basically there.
So I guess in a way,
stuff.
Sabbath was like the first, or one of the first progressive bands, because yes, and those guys were out before them. But I guess in a way, Sabbath was like, definitely the first heavy metal band, but definitely the first progressive metal band.
I think that's what kind of makes it so timeless, is because there's influences from all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
There's that one little jazz breakdown, and it's just all kind of
Yeah.
clean guitar parts here and there, nice pretty stuff. And then
Yeah, because it all started with them, because all they were working with was jazz and blues stuff, so that's all they had to go by. So the fact that they came to this, and never mind the story, I'm sure we're going to get to it, of how Black Sabbath became so heavy, i.e., Tony's nimble thimbles.
Nimble Thimbles.
Yeah, the accident that led to Black Sabbath's ultimate heaviness. I'm sure we'll get to that.
Aye. The producer, Roger Bain, he's been involved in a lot of stuff over the years. He did the first 3 Black Sabbath albums.
Hell.
The first 2 Budgie albums. I think Crash Course and Brain Surgery. Did the first Judas Priest album, Rock-a-Rolla.
Which I believe Michael Ockerfeldt from Opeth says is one of his favorite albums of all time.
What I read, I guess he made some decisions that the band and fans didn't like. He cut some of their most popular songs off. Didn't include them, like Tyrant, Genocide, and The Ripper, which are all classic freaking Priest songs.
That's kind of crazy.
It's like classic Priest songs of all time, and that guy's like, nah.
It's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
And the song Caviar and Meths, I guess, was like a 10-minute song, and he cut it to a 2-minute instrumental.
Wow.
Could have just called that Caviar and Cocaines. Not even that. Fish sticks and cocaines. That's even better. Fish sticks and cocaines. The
From
new single.
Captain D's.
Captain D. Shut up now. I'm hungry.
I'll have fish sticks with a side of cocaine, please.
Thank you. That'll be
And a Diet
$87.50.
Coke.
And a Diet Coke.
And a Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. I mean, you don't really need it. You got the cocaine.
How
But
much of a
anyway,
figure?
anyway, just in case.
The engineer, Tom Allen, he was involved in a lot of big stuff, 70s and 80s. Produced albums by Pat Travers. He basically produced all of the Priest 80s stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like all of it.
Just
and then,
amazing who you know, because...
And then he did their most recent, Firepower. I think maybe Angel of Retribution, I read.
Really?
But like all of the classic 80s stuff, the whole 80s era, he was the producer.
That's so cool how all that stuff is all connected.
Yes.
To me, the nerd in me loves it.
All right. He did some Def Leppard, Kicks.
Kicks, who Brad Devins from Rat Trail America was a part of at one point. Thank you very much. This message is brought to you by Metal Nerdery. All rights reserved, 2020. Brought to you by Scream from the Balls Productions. Thank you.
He did the old Whitford St. Holmes.
That sounds like...
Am I tweaking your metal nerdery brain?
I know we're going to go with Aerosmith and Ted Nugent, but that just sounds like something you'd see at a bar at like 1 o'clock in the morning when everybody's shit-faced. It's just like you're thinking, all right, does somebody have extra drugs? Because this is getting depressing really quick. That seems like the band that would be on stage. Nothing against those guys. I love those guys. I love those bands. But I'm just saying that's what it sounds like to me.
Right there with you. He also did some Crocus, Y&T, Rough Cut with 2 T's, Lover Boy.
Lover Boy.
Some Jet Boy. He liked boys.
And I'm not familiar with Jet Boy.
And other boys?
I know the name. I can't say I know either.
Boys are going to rock.
There you go.
Hashtag Vinny Vincentitis. Anyway.
And some others.
Had to bring it back. Others. Yeah.
Others is the word of the day.
By the way, we have to share this. Apparently, we can see those of you out there as part of the Metal Nerdery Syndicate all over the globe who's downloading us, and we appreciate each and every one of you. You are a blessing. But to those who give us our stats, they say there's people downloading us from places that apparently are not on Earth, and that makes me concerned. Maybe the aliens are listening to Metal Nerdery.
Countries under the others list. So it's
I don't know what others is, but Metal Nerdery salutes you, and you get 110% kudos, condiments, and commitments. So thank you to the
whoever
others.
you are. We love you.
We love the others.
We love you all.
The other engineer of the album, Barry Sheffield, I guess founded a very famous studio in London, Trident Studios, with his brother.
I've heard that name quite a bit, or read it on notes, I'm sure, production notes.
Quite a diverse list of people there. James Taylor, The Beatles, Bowie, Bee Gees, Zappa, Kiss, Lou Reed, Peter Gabriel, Thin Lizzy, Yes.
And to reiterate what my colleague and fellow nerd just said, For those of you listening, you should go Google-ize and YouTube-ize all of these artists and listen to their shit, because ultimately, these things had some impact on the metal that you enjoy today. You owe it to yourself.
Absolutely.
That's right. Archie's telling you to open your mind. Oi.
As Sacred Reich said, don't just be a metal dude. It's cool.
Exactly. Enjoy all of it.
So, yeah, we already talked about Marcus Keefe.
Keefe. Somebody pass the bowl, please.
And as we kind of discussed pre-show, there were 2 track listings, the European and the American.
Do you think it would have been overkill, not the band, do you think it would have been overkill if they released it in the U.S. with all of the songs, like both Evil Woman and Wicked World?
I don't think so.
I think it would have been killer. Because then you could have dicked around with the track listing more and made it, not to say that track listing wasn't awesome and or perfect, but that would give you more options and it would give you more songs. But we don't work in the record label business. We don't have a say-so.
They know what they're doing, right?
Apparently. I still want to know about that fucking poem. Now I'm super intrigued with now. I was intrigued with before, but now I'm like super intrigued with. Intrigued with. Seriously.
On the original North American pressing, the sleeve had the band's given names instead of their stage names.
Really?
Yeah, so you had Anthony Iommi, John Osborne, Terrence Butler, and William Ward.
Don't know who those blokes are, right?
Who?
Who the fuck? Hey, John, say something from the stage. You see John, you don't think, John from Birmingham, you think, Paul, John, George, and Ringo. That's the kind of John you think. Hey, John, sing us a song.
It is kind of just
playing.
It's like
John.
Ozzy's Ozzy. It's like, what if I'm sure he would have been just as crazy or whatever, but just thinking about calling him John.
Ozzy has a little more panache to it. John's kind of like, John. It's like, it's like Slayer versus, fucking Slayer. It's like a difference. It's like John, fucking John, that's Ozzy. That's what fucking John is. If it had said fucking John Osborne, I'd be like, okay, I'm on board with it.
Fucking John.
Fucking John Osborne. Fucking Anthony Iommi. Yeah, okay. Fucking Terrence Butler. Fucking William Ward. That's it. Let's go back. Okay, Warner Brothers, for any future releases, you got to go back and put fucking on all of those. But let me just say, before we diverge into the next section,
please,
why do you think that they had the difference in track listing from the European to the American version?
I don't know, but I know a lot of albums do that. They'll have different track listings for regions. I don't know why. But
it's almost like, especially if one was released somewhere first, it's almost like if the European version, which by the way included Evil Woman, which was a cover by the band Crow, which I think we covered on our covers podcast. And then the American version had Wicked World instead of Evil Woman. And I'm like, they're both badass songs. Why not just make it the fucking same for everybody? But back then, I guess the Europeans had to be different from Americans.
No, they still do it. I mean, there's a lot of Japanese releases that have different stuff on them. I mean,
well, they get a lot of extra bonus tracks and stuff too that we don't get.
Why is that?
But to be fair, I mean, maybe they don't get as many, artists coming over there, because when they go to Japan, they probably do like 2 or 3 nights at a shot. So maybe they're trying to give them all the metal they possibly can.
All the metal.
All the metal, all the time.
Yeah, talked about the Fontana Records.
Oh my God.
Yeah, when it was released in the U.S., it went to 23 on the Billboard 200 and stayed there for over a year.
Holy shit.
Which is crazy for 1970.
People were fucking angry in 1970. I think that was the year the DEA was formed, so I can understand.
At the time, the album got pretty much negative reviews. Rolling Stone described it as just like Cream, but worse.
Which is fucking crazy. That'd be like saying just like Metallica, but worse. Really?
Oops.
Go fuck yourself, asshole.
The Village Voice called it bullshit necromancy.
Fuck you, Village Voice.
Bullshit. And the worst in counterculture.
Oh, Christ. You know what? The Village Voice has lost all relevance to me. Unless they've done a full retraction of this, I will never appreciate the Village Voice. To be honest, if you play Black Sabbath, the album backwards, Satan will appear in your living room. By the way, he loves cookies. Something about sugar cookies. I don't know what
cookies.
it is. I guess sugar's scarce in hell, but he fucking loves cookies, man.
Retrospectively, things have been more positive. All Music said I had the most definitive heavy metal riffs of all time.
Yeah, because Tony Iommi is the riff god.
I like this one. Their slowed down, murky guitar rock bludgeons the listener in an almost hallucinatory fashion,
Boom,
reveling in its own dazed, druggy state of consciousness.
boom, and also boom.
And yeah, that's where I got that earlier. Rolling Stone, an album that eats hippies for breakfast.
Right. Yummy.
Along with a healthy, solid portion of mushrooms and acid, right?
Mushrooms and acid and hippies.
Mushrooms and acid, suicide
Well, all you had to
paneling,
do
and
was eat the
shack
hippie,
carpeting.
right? I mean,
Well, yeah, fuck, if you eat a hippie, that's like...
did you wash it first, though?
That's like eating, 3 sheets of acid at least? Something like that. Man, I hope you're not doing
Wash the
anything
hippie
for
before
like
you
a
eat it? Or I don't know.
decade. No, you can wash it on the outside, but just know that the druggy goodness is good on the inside.
Druggy goodness.
Druggy goodness.
And this is where I think some of their placement on these lists is a little funny.
Sketchy.
Yeah, Kerrang ranked Sabbath number 31 on their 100 greatest heavy metal albums of all time.
31. That should have been maybe like
At least in
Maybe-
the top 10.
at least top 10. I would say probably, I'm going to have to say at least top 3. Granted, nothing against the Sabbath, but there's others that could be in the top 1, 2, or 3.
I mean, there's been a lot of brilliant albums, but
Rain of Blood, Master of Puppets.
Black Sabbath, arguably the creator of the whole thing,
Yeah.
and I would say should be higher than number 31.
Yeah,
Sure.
top 10 at least. I think top 5. Fuck it, top 3.
Whoever Colin Larkin is, ranked at number 12 in the top 50 heavy metal albums.
It's probably Shannon's cousin. I think Shannon said he's a dick.
Rolling Stones 2005 500 greatest albums of all time, ranked at number 238.
Oh,
Bullshit.
burn.
I mean,
Yeah.
you got to take into, that income, I guess, all music forever, but still.
Yeah, but what's
Middle-
number 1? Like
Middle
Rick
of
Astley's
an
greatest
influential
hit?
album like that, massively influential in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, influential over an entire fucking genre of music. So, what do you have, Rolling Stone? Like, Rick Astley's greatest hits is number 1. Rolling Stone. We appreciate your feedback.
I guess they ranked it number 44 in the 100 best debut albums. Said the opening track would define the sound of 1,000 bands.
Bingo. See, I think that's higher. That deserves higher than a 44 rating. That deserves at least I'm going to say an 11. Just because it's Sabbath and just because it needs to be loud. Just because it needs to be at fucking 11.
And this list, I guess, is a little bit more proper. Number 5 on their 100 greatest metal albums of all time. So at least it's top 5.
Okay. We'll give them some kudos and
Top
commitments
5
for
of
that.
metal.
But to be fair, they do not get the condiments. They get the kudos and commitments.
No condiments! Condiments, Jerry!
Condiments if you get number 1, but otherwise you get kudos and commitments. So thank you for that. And that was Rolling Stone? So that particular
Yeah.
list? Wow,
Yeah.
okay. Rolling Stone Redemption.
I found that poem.
Poem.
I'm not going to read it, though.
Thanks for sharing.
Not. Well, first of all, let's clarify. Is
Just
it
so,
sexy?
just so the general listening public knows, it is findable.
Yes.
Okay. Is it sexy or no?
It's sexy.
Is it sexy?
Well, I gotta ask because I might have to go frost here in a minute. So I'm just trying
It's
to find out.
dark.
It's dark.
Foreboding.
Still falls the rain. The veils of darkness shroud the blackened trees.
Is that the whole poem?
No, there's a whole bunch of...
That's an excerpt.
yeah, that's right.
So what did you Googleize? Just Black Sabbath poem?
Yes. Black Sabbath.
Hashtag vagueness from our producer.
Black Sabbath album cover poem. And you will find it.
Hashtag frosting. I'll be back.
Absolutely.
It's 8:30 in the morning and I'm already shit-faced. Hold on. No, I'm kidding. It's more like lunchtime.
It's 8:30 somewhere.
Right.
Man, start the clock. 8:30 California.
Pulled up this little, shut up. You're not here, you don't get to talk. Found this interesting little list on Revolver. I guess it came out right there on their 50th anniversary of Black Sabbath's 50 fascinating facts about metal's first album.
Yeah, cool. Let's check it out.
That might be interesting to discuss. For anybody that has followed us at all, listened to our Sabbath episode, they were originally called the Polka Tulk Blues Band.
Yes.
After a talcum powder. How freaking rock and roll is that?
It's not.
Exactly. It's a good thing they changed it.
I think that was episode 4.
The original band had 6 members, which I didn't realize.
No, I didn't realize.
Had a bottleneck slide guitar player and a saxophone.
Yes. I need to hear that.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Then they, as we know, they changed their name to Earth. Bill Ward came up with that.
Yeah.
I guess, as most bands back in the day, they were mostly a cover band.
And some blues.
And you're right. First original song, Wicked World.
Yeah, when he came back from his time with Jethro Tull.
I got this list of 50 facts of the first Sabbath album.
Excellent.
I didn't realize. I knew the whole Polka Tulk Blues thing, but I didn't realize that it was a talcum powder.
It's a weird name for talcum powder. Polka Tulk Blues Band?
Well, I think it was probably just Polka Tulk.
Oh, that makes more sense. I was going to say, fucking A, what kind of powder is that, Mom? It's Blues Band powder. Go get some at the store.
And I also did not know this. They were originally a 6-piece. They had a bottleneck slide player and a saxophone.
I feel like I knew that, and I feel like when I first read that, it was like I was rereading some old Dr. Seuss shit or something. Like, it just seemed so weird to me. I'm like, I couldn't put it together.
We'll discuss. It's my turn to frost. Too much coffee this morning. Bill's the only one around here that,
And now?
That has a man bladder?
And now for your moment of frosting.
We have the bladders of 12-year-old girls.
See, now I feel like we should insert some Celtic Frost here.
We could do that, or you could read this poem if you want.
Oh, yeah. Here. Put it up on the board and I'll read it. On the board. On the monitor.
The board.
We're fancier than that. And so we have the poem that is on the inside gatefold of the original Black Sabbath album. And this, you said, Bill, this is inside the upside down inverted cross?
That's what they say.
Alright, so evil's amongst us. Insert the rain and the thunder and the bells. Still falls the rain. The veils of darkness shroud the blackened trees, which, contorted by some unseen violence, shed their tired leaves and bend their bows towards a grey earth of severed bird wings. Among the grasses, poppies bleed before gesticulating death, and young rabbits born dead in traps stand motionless as though guarding the silence that surrounds and threatens to engulf all those that would listen. Mute birds, tired of repeating yesterday's terrors, huddled together in the recesses of dark corners, head turned from the dead black swan that floats upturned in a small pool in the hollow. There emerges from this pool a faint sensual mist that traces its way upwards to caress the chipped feet of the headless martyr statue, whose only achievement was to die too soon, and who couldn't wait to lose. The cataract of darkness formed fully. The long black night begins, yet still by the lake a young girl waits. Unseeing, she believes herself unseen. She smiles faintly at the distant tolling bell and the still falling rain.
Alright.
This fucking metal as fuck. Archie, thanks. Hey, alright, bloke, anytime. Oi! Birmingham forever. Alright, thank you, Archie, for reading that.
Whew. I thought I was hanging out with Adam Sandler there for a minute.
No, we were, during your frosting, we were reading the poem that was on the inside of the inverted cross. I gotta tell you, for me, kind of visual. I kind of dug it.
Yeah.
To me, it kind of reminded me almost of, like, for those of you who are familiar with the King Diamond, which, hashtag, there will be some foreshadowing. There'll be some King Diamond in the future. Trust us. But kind of along those lines, like, that whole poem kind of paints that vibe for the album. And it's like you take that poem with the album cover, plus the fucking album and the music and just the vibe of it. It's just like, nailed it.
There it is.
Nailed it. So anyway, that was the poem. The Black Sabbath poem.
Excellent.
Oh, wow. Earth's second original song was Black Sabbath?
Yeah, the first one was Wicked World. So Bill was right.
That's a kick-ass first song.
Bill and his man bladder were right.
His man bladder. His man bladder or his man tights?
Yep. Evidently, Black Sabbath was written in a couple hours, according to Geezer Butler. As Tony just started playing the riff, and it kind of just happened.
Yeah, I read that they were just messing around, and they both played the same chord at the same time.
And
they were like,
when that happens.
"Holy shit!"
This message brought to you by Satan.
Right.
Don't deny the power of Satan.
They call that synchronicity? I don't know.
Shall we put that on, or we've gotten to the tracks portion yet?
Because we'll run through this real quick.
Okay. Because it is
dive
evil.
into some tracks.
Yes.
I guess most of us know a song based on the Devil's Tritone.
A.K.A. the Diabolus in Musica.
I thought that was Slayer, man.
Well, that was one of their albums, but, hello, this is Sam Elliott. I wanted to give y'all kind of a look back on my generation. Back in the day when you play the Devil's Tritone, they'd hang you because they thought you were the devil. Anyway.
Thank you for that insight.
I'm going back to the couch. I just wanted to let y'all know. Yeah, Sam, I think it was actually a little further back than your generation, but...
Kind of reminds me of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. She's a witch, what do you do? Burn her!
Burn her! Exactly. No, they used to fucking kill people back in the Dark Ages when they were worried that Satan was in music, which he is. He's in everything, let's be honest.
Yeah, that main riff was inspired by the Mars, the Bringer of War orchestra type deal, which is a pretty cool song if you listen to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of minor
It's very
key
ominous.
stuff. It's very, you might even say it's Slayerific.
It has much ominosity.
Ominosity. Brutality. Ominosity. Synchronicity.
Here's we get to your Thimbly Thimbles or whatever the hell you said.
Nimble Thimbles.
Yeah, that's it.
I think Billy used to clean those out for him. He talked about that in a prior episode.
It was gross then. It's gross now.
I think he wanted to. I don't think Tony let him on the bus.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, he shaved tips of his middle fingers off.
Yeah, shaved is being nice. He sliced them off in an industrial accident. Like a guillotine. Or guillotine, sorry. You don't say the L's in guillotine. It's not guillotine.
Like La Villa Strangiato.
Yeah, it's guillotine. Say it with the French, guillotine. But yeah, chopped off his middle two fingers.
You like them gyro sandwiches too, don't you?
Fucking love gyros, man. Delicious. And they spin around and do crazy shit too.
I think when we were doing research for that episode, I think he was going to call out of work that day. And his mom was like, don't be a wanker. Go to work. Yeah. It's your last day, go to work.
You get back to work and finish your shift.
And then that's when that happened.
Of course, right?
Yeah. So, right,
thanks, Mom.
Fuck you, Mom. You just ruined my life. But he got inspiration. A buddy of his came to see him in the hospital, and there's a jazz guitar player in the early part of the 20th century named Django Reinhardt. And he had some kind of condition where he had two of his fingers were paralyzed, so he had to use just two fingers to play. And Tony was like, well, I suppose if he can do that, I'll take a go at that. I don't know if that's how he actually said it, but that was the sentiment.
That and plenty of cocaine.
Yeah. Yeah. A 4x12's worth.
The song's Figure in Black, inspired by an actual shadowy figure that bassist Geezer Butler said that he saw. I guess I read some more about this. He was like really into the occult at that point. And he had an apartment. He said he painted the whole thing black, and he had inverted crosses all over the place. And Ozzy gave him this book from the 15th or 16th century or something, some kind of evil book.
Holy shit, an evil book.
And he said he...
Sorry. Don't deny the power of Satan.
So he put the book in his cupboard or whatever, he goes to bed, and then he had some kind of a nightmare and woke up, and that's when he saw the figure in black, in his room there. Mm. Then he said it scared the shit out of him. He basically threw the book away and was like, I'm out of all that. Wow. I'm done.
It's insane. I actually had a nightmare kind of similar to that, although I didn't have an evil book. But I did dream there was a black figure at the foot of my bed pointing at me, and my room was on fire. I was a kid. This is before I even heard Black Sabbath. So I wonder if that was like some weird cosmic backwagon foreshadowing or something. I don't know what it was, but it seemed kind of backwagon to me. But it was
whatever you do in the backwagon stays
in the backwagon.
In the backwagon.
Anyway, I had a similar dream experience to Geezer, so it's like I'm connected to him. Anyway,
Geezer basically came up. I guess they thought Earth was boring, so
we're all here. It sure is.
No. There was another band called Earth.
Was there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
One thing, maybe that was part of it too. I guess Geezer came up with the Black Sabbath name from the Boris Karloff movie. Karloff.
Right.
There you go.
I think he did some narration on the How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the old animated movie. I think he did the "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch," the whole lyrics for that. I think that was Boris Karloff.
I like this one here. I guess the first time they played that song live, this is what Ozzy says. Everybody freaked out and ran away. And he says, "Isn't the whole point of being in a band to get a shag? Not make the chicks run away? Get a shag."
That's right. Get a shag on.
This is obvious Osborne. Shag means fuck. Isn't it obvious? Thank you, Obvious. Us Americans aren't too familiar with the old lingo, so we appreciate your contributions.
So I guess they went on a writing tear after they did Black Sabbath. They were inspired. So they came up with NIB, which I guess a lot of people thought stood for Nativity in Black.
Which sounds metal as fuck.
It's a reference to Bill Ward's goatee.
Yeah.
Which resembled the nib of a pen, hence his nickname, Nibby.
Nibby.
The knights who say nib. Okay, shut up, Matt. You're being stupid.
Sleeping Village was originally titled Devil's Island. Megadeth.
Devil's Island.
Interesting. Well, you know, it's funny. There's on that reissue of the first Black Sabbath album, there's a outtake of The Wizard. And I think it's Roger Bain or the engineer, like, introducing it. He's like, "This is Devil's Island," or something like that. Like, take one. And Ozzy's like, "This isn't Devil's Island. It's The Wizard." Anyway, fun little factoid there. It is a wizard. Yes, take one.
I guess Behind the Wall of Sleep, inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's story of the same name. It says Butler fell asleep while reading the story and dreamt all the lyrics in the main riff.
Oh, wow.
That is a very visual song.
Kind of like Steve Harris and Number of the Beast, I guess. What is it with bass players?
Bass players and Satan. I don't know. Maybe there's a connection.
Maybe.
I mean,
I like this one. The Wizard was inspired by Gandalf.
That's awesome. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I guess I need to read the books. I heard the books are excellent.
I read something different about that.
Uh-oh.
It says here it was also rumored to be about the band's drug dealer at the time.
Durr.
It was originally called Sign of the Sorcerer.
Wizard was good. I think Sign of the Sorcerer for them would have been too much. That would have been like, people would have been like, "What, man? Words." That's like a Dio song, Sign of the Sorcerer.
Yeah, apparently Tony said in one of his books that it was that Ozzy and Geezer were wandering around stoned and saw some guy leaping around being silly outside of a club, and that the guy looked like an elf. And so the Wizard was born.
Excellent.
Is what he said.
That works too.
Yeah.
That's still a pretty cool fucking name for a drug dealer, though.
Wizard.
For being honest.
Right?
Hey, man. Dude, you better call the Wizard.
Here comes the Wizard.
There's chicks here we need code. Call the Wizard, man. You don't bring a 4x12's worth.
Oh, you calling the Wizard? That's all you got to say.
That's all you got to say, bitch.
Yeah, all you had to say was volume 4, bro. It's all right. I know what you mean. I know how much you need. I got you.
As previously discussed, recorded in just one day, a little over 12 hours.
Proof that great things happen quickly.
They basically recorded it live. I think they only overdubbed some of the guitars and some of the vocals. That was basically it.
Yeah.
It's got the feel. It's definitely got the feel. That Unique kind of just like you're in the room with them kind of vibe.
Evidently, The Warning was originally like a 30-minute song.
Jesus, really? Hashtag show off. Well, I wonder if it was all, because I think there were multiple versions of The Warning. I don't know if I overshadowed too quick, if there was a mention of that. But on that re-release, I think there's actually like 2 versions of the solo. Because you know there's that extended whole solo thing that kind of goes off. And there's like another version of it with like a different solo. And I think they took pieces of both and kind of like super soloed into one for the actual album release. But I think there's 2 different versions. Super solo. Super solo.
Jesus.
Super solo.
Sloppy.
Seriously. It's Sean Connery. Plural, not singular.
It's very moist.
Anyway, sorry, a moment of tangential
Your mouth is very
divergence.
moist.
It is. You should see it after I gargle with Astroglide.
Yummy.
Hashtag.
Pedro, just listen to your heart. That's what I do.
Thank you for that, Napoleon.
Chill. Thank you. Asshole.
This, to me, probably wouldn't make any difference to most people, but how weird would it have been to see Iommi playing a Fender Strat?
No. No, it just, no.
I know, it doesn't really work.
It'd be
for
like
me.
seeing Kerry King play a PRS. It would just, it's a great instrument and it's awesome, but it fucking doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Could you see James Hetfield playing
a Fender Strat?
Yeah, it'd be like, no, man. That's like it's like Kerry King going into the gym and doing like 5-pound trap exercises. That's nothing. He can do like a half a ton easy with those traps. So yeah, with a Stratocaster, no, I can't accept it.
Evidently, that was his main guitar. He just had the SG as a backup, and he had a pickup that wasn't working, so that's why he picked up the SG.
And it's way more metal looking
Kind
too.
of became the instrument of legend.
Which is crazy because it was almost the Les Paul.
Yeah.
Because the SG was like to be the bigger seller than the Les Paul, but the Les Paul kind of won out. But I think Les Paul's original design was more SG-ish. SG-ish. It's not really a word, but anyway.
I like the sound of SGs, but when I don't know,
they're not even to me. But for Tony, they fucking work.
Yeah, I mean, for Tony, for Angus, for countless people, I mean, they make them sound awesome. Like Scott used to play an SG. So Tim,
Yeah.
They sound awesome, but it's just when I play one, something about it just doesn't feel right for
It's
me.
something about the balance. We've talked about that before because it feels weird for me too. Like when I used to play with Tim's. SG. SG. That is PP. Is SG.
Super Glider.
Super Glider.
He makes it sound good, though.
Absolutely.
Dude, down by the bass, it's scalloped. It's my new album, Scalloped by the Balls. This is G-Octave. Is it a seafood dish? What the fuck are we talking about? Oh yeah, Black Sabbath. Let's get back to task.
Please.
Thank you.
Kind of goes back to what we talked about before with them including a cover, I guess. Their manager and publishing company basically wanted them to do Evil Woman because they thought it'd be a hit. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like what we said.
That.
It was a known song, I guess.
But if you listen to that in the context of the album, it definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like it just sounds like it's completely left field. Like, what the fuck is this doing here?
Yeah. So we've already talked about some of that stuff. Yeah, evidently, they got done recording the album in time to hit the pub before last call.
That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a hell of a celebratory drink right there.
That was awesome. That was probably the
And then
best
the next
drink
day,
ever.
what I read was they evidently, like the day after that, they were in Switzerland playing a gig.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts? It's like you can't do that today. It's like today, it's like, we spent a year and a half in the studio. It's like, if you know the tunes, which at this point they've been gigging quite a bit, so they were very, very familiar.
Yeah, a lot of this we have already discussed.
Friday the 13th. It's funny, I always think of Valentine's Day, which was recently, as the day after the anniversary of the release of Black Sabbath. I don't even really recognize Valentine's Day. I'm like, oh, you mean the day after Black Sabbath was released? Yeah, okay.
Ozzy stated that being trashed by Rolling Stone was cool because they were the establishment, man.
Fuck you guys.
He says those music magazines were all staffed by college kids who thought they were clever, which, to be fair, they probably were.
I love that little factoid. The Disc and Music Echo derided the album as little more than a marketing ploy. Quote, black magic music for the sick masses. And like we said in a previous episode, darkness and cynicism and negativity create beautiful art.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shane?
And I kind of find this one hard to believe. Ozzy says he didn't realize Sabbath's influence, I guess, until 1986. The Metallica was supporting him on that tour. They said every time he passed their dressing room, they were playing old Sabbath stuff.
That's
And
fucking
then
awesome.
that's like when he dawned that Black Sabbath was influential. I mean, I don't know. That
Holy
seems a
shit.
little... Well, I mean, if you're in it, maybe it is
Yeah.
different, you know.
That's the sign of an artist, though, I think. That they do what they love because they love it.
Doing what you do. You
And
don't
then you
really...
realize later that, like, holy shit, I've touched people with my art. To be clear, it's not another name for my penis. Art is art.
Call that thing art, Nate.
It's got multiple colors, so kind of.
What?
I've got designs shaved in there. It's fine. Tattoo, actually.
And finally on this list, I guess they originally did not appreciate being called heavy metal.
You know what? They should, because they are the founders.
Bill Ward says only in like the last 10 years or so he's
Holy
got to where
fuck.
he kind of like, yeah.
I guess I can see that because it's kind of a generational thing. Because we see it because it is fucking metal. It's aggressive. It's dark. It's musical as shit. Now we've established as progressive. But I guess since their influences were all blues and jazz players, it's kind of like they probably thought metal. What the fuck is it? You know, it'd be like if you were a metal band and somebody started calling you some kind of like, you know, the Godfathers of Core, and you're like, holy shit, I had no idea we were part of the whole Core movement. There's a Core named after us?
Well, that's like Lemmy. He's like, we're just a rock and roll band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're Motorhead. We play rock and roll.
Far from it. On 11.
Absolutely.
That's right. Shall we listen to some of the tracks, boys? Do we have some
If we
more
have
stuff?
to.
If we have to. I think we have to. I don't think we can do a dive without tracks. Bells and rain and thunder. And Satan.
It's a good thing the Alexa's not going off now.
Yeah. Yeah, if Alexa answers when I say Satan, that's a problem.
I can fix that.
Actually, you should.
That would be fun. Satan.
Just don't tell your wife. Oops.
It'd scare my daughter.
Mustache.
So good, man.
So creepy. Bell. Tell me that is not like a creepy inside of a deserted church.
What is this that stands before me? Figure in black, which points at me. Turn around quick and start to run.
So evil.
Find out I'm the chosen one. Oh
Chills.
Chills from the trills. Still sounds evil as fuck half a century later.
I read something that Tony was saying when they first, one of the first times that they played it, just like the hair on his neck
Really?
stood up, and he was like, I think we're onto something here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What? I mean, it's evil as shit. I mean, that, because if you've ever, I mean, as a guitar player, I mean, we've played that that shape, and it's always just so just dank and just skanky and evil sounding, and it's just like, holy shit, they basically took, the Devil's Tritone and basically made a whole career out of it beautifully. And then Slayer did like the Pantera to Metallica version of that with Sabbath, and they took the evil to a whole nother level. But it's like, that's just fucking awesome.
Watch those flames.
I think I like the production of that time too. Kind of added a little bit to the
Mysticism.
that and the evilosity of it.
Yeah, the evilosity.
Because I mean, if you'd have done that with a real slick modern production, it wouldn't have been the same.
No.
It's just it had that raw type.
Yeah.
Well, it always, even like with the cover art and everything, like when I listen to that, it reminds me of like them recording inside of like an abandoned old church or something. Just it has that creepy kind of vibe, like the vocals and the reverb and the bell and shit. It's just like, fuck. And then they go into basically like early speed metal in this ish.
Doing to make that?
Like a wah pedal.
Yeah, that's it.
Wah, or like a tremolo pedal, maybe. 2, 3, 4. I always liked how they added that little thing at the end. Because there is a version on that re-release where they like cut out that very, very last part, that little.
Really?
Why the hell would you do that?
I know. Come on.
I don't know, but it's weird because you listen to it. It's like you keep waiting for it. It's like, no, it's not there.
You just saved like 1.3 seconds of running time.
Yeah, who knows? In the CD world, that really could be a big difference.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 78 minutes and 5 seconds. No, you can't do it. You got to cut out that 20-minute epic track. Oh, God. And then after that, we go into The Wizard.
Harmonica solo.
Harmonica solo. Blind Dog Osborne. Blues man from Birmingham. Come on, dog.
Think about it. If you tweak that just a little bit, I mean, it's basically blues.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But the next part, it gets heavier.
It's always fun to play.
Yeah.
I think Reed Bowen on drums.
Yeah. totally see it.
A wizard walks by, casting his shadow, weaving his spell. Long gray clothes, twinkling bell. Never talking, just keeps walking, causing his magic.
That's a ballsy riff.
Evil power disappears.
Man, he's all over the place on this song, man. It's crazy.
It's
Love
like
it.
kind of upbeat, up tempo, sort of.
Plus those lines Geezer's playing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just back there.
It's
See,
so,
even to me, like the
so
imagery
good.
for that song, like the lyrical imagery and the vibe of the music, it's like that album to me is very visual. Like it paints a very specific picture in my brain mind.
That's what acid does, man.
That's what drugs are good for, man. I hung out with Timothy Leary before he got booted out of Harvard, man. Yeah, it's such a cool song. And the harmonica. Props to Ozzy. Black Dog Osborne.
Sun is shining, time to come by.
Much goodness.
Very much goodness.
oh yeah.
Magical goodness. And then it goes into
I think that to me, this is kind of where it's like as much as I love those two, this little suite right here is kind of where they start kind of stretching out a little bit.
this is them to me. This is really Black Sabbath the way I think Black Sabbath was.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't get to ever see them live. Because it seems like the way they played live is they even did this. Like on past lives, I think when they do Wicked World, they throw in like a medley of like Supernaut, Into the Void, and other stuff. But I think the suite is kind of where Sabbath really shined.
Which they didn't do a lot of on the other albums, though.
Nope. Well, I mean, they had like War Pigs and Luke's Wall, which is like the instrumental at the end, but it wasn't the same as like the first album.
Yeah.
Because the whole Behind the Wall of Sleep and then like the on side 2, the Sleeping Village suite, there's nothing like, you're right, there's nothing like that on any of the other albums.
Mm-hmm.
Caius did that, didn't they?
Yeah.
On some of their stuff.
That's why Caius is so fucking badass.
Absolutely.
They're very, which one was that? Welcome to Sky Valley?
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was kind of the same concept, like lots of suites. Suites. S-U-I-T-E, not S-W-E-E-T. They are also S-W-E-T. That's all.
I love the bass.
Yeah, man. It's so killer. It's called Foreshadowing.
I always like the vocals, the way they were split like that. All right now.
Yeah, just a little bit of fuzz on the bass on this.
Yeah. For some reason, that vocal effect is just weird. I dig it, but it's just fucking weird.
Especially with headphones.
Right.
Right, yeah.
With full Metal Nerd experience please let's go ahead and let's come back to the show. Change your body to a corpse. That's what they say. If you want off remorse, change your body to a corpse. Make a lot of good points.
Yeah, I dig this right here.
That goes back into it.
Quite jazzy.
Just the fucking vibe. Like the drum just got a swagger to it.
Yeah, it's got that swing.
Yeah. The way they put it together.
Deliciousness.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, after that, you've got basically with 2 S's to show Geezer's amazing bass prowess. I think the way that fed into NIB was really cool, too.
Yep.
Just fucking, do we have the basically? I think we have it coming momentarily. Hello, this is Nigel Nigerson. Sorry, my cousin broke in here earlier. Oh, she's a bit of a prick. Anyway, the basically is Geezer Butler's contribution to the first Black Sabbath album. Please enjoy his bassitudes. Thank you. This is Nigel Nigerson. Thanks, Nigel. Appreciate that. Distortion.
Nibby?
Oh yeah!
Some people.
Some people say my love cannot be true. Please believe me, my love, and I'll show you. I will give you those things you thought unreal. The sun, the moon, the stars, all bear my seal. Oh yeah! Follow me now, and you will not regret.
This song brought to you by Satan,
Another classic.
obviously. And now, depending on which side of the pond you're on, depends on which song you hear next. Because if you're on the European side of the pond, you will hear Evil Woman, which is a Crow cover. And if you're on the American side of the pond, you will hear Wicked World.
Ainsley Dunbar.
You know where I'm at. I love this song, man.
Oh, yeah. The energy of it.
Jazz now.
For real.
Sorry, being flouncy.
I was going to ask.
Geezer flouncy, not Matt flouncy. Sabbath.
The world today is such a wicked place. Fighting going on between the human race. People gotta work just to earn their bread. While people just across the sea are cutting it dead.
See what we can do.
Oh my god, I just had a realization.
Oh my god.
OMG.
Because there were moments on stage where Philip H. Anselmo actually said the same thing Ozzy said. What do you want to hear? But he never said, alright, we'll see what we can do. It's all Ozzy. And this is all Tony.
All the time.
Thimble Radio 102.7. Thimbles. It's a little demon flying up and down the fretboard. Hoping to guide his fingers to awesomeness.
It's so fucking killer.
Absolutely.
I gotta say that the past lives version of this, where they slow it down and they do all like crazy heavy on the like the verse part of Wicked World. Holy shit, that's just you should own the first 6 Sabbath albums for sure, and past lives. You definitely have to have that because the live version of Wicked World is fucking amazing.
And then we ended off with a bit of finger.
And Sleeping Village and Warning and all of that. It's evil, isn't it?
That's the Jew's harp.
Is that where we ended all? Jew's harp?
There's your boing.
Hashtag boner noise.
Boner radio.
I'm never going to be able to watch the old westerns again. Like Clint Eastwood was going to be all steely-eyed, and I'm going to hear boing.
WBNR. Feel the tease. I know what Ozzy was talking about.
At ease, not ATs.
You're listening to WBNR. Boner Radio. This is Sleeping Village. With a boner. Doesn't that almost kind of remind you of Zeppelin? A little bit?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Not the next part. This part kind of...
That riff.
This part is all Sabbath, all balls and brutality. always like the split guitar solos
I
like
like
that.
the dueling leads. Yeah, it's cool.
Very cool.
Definitely kind of something original with Sabbath. I don't think anybody else is really doing that.
Ozzy playing the tambourine.
He's saying loud out in the background, but you can't hear him because he's not mic. It's all the channels have been used. And then I love the way this transitions into the morning. This morning.
Ainsley Dunbar.
Now the first day that I met you, I was looking in the sky when the sun turned all a blur and the thunderclouds rolled by. The sea began to shiver and the wind began to moan. It must have been a sign for me to leave you well alone. I was born without you, baby, but my feelings were a little bit too strong.
Yeah, I had no idea Ainsley Dunbar
You
did
never
this first.
said you loved me, and I
Ainsley.
don't believe
Ainsley
you did.
Dunbar.
'Cause I saw you in a dream and you
Things you learn on Metal Nerdery.
That's right. That's why we're here. Fuck, even I learned something new. I thought Sabbath did this. I know something new today. Ainsley Dunbar did it first.
67.
67.
Of course, it wasn't the giant thing afterwards or in the middle. All of this goodness.
No, the goodness in the middle is the Tony Iommi guitar solo awesomeness. Like I said before, I think there's two versions of the solos that were put in there floating around, and I think they might have just said, fuck it, let's go Prego, put it all in there. Both.
Prego.
Prego. Anyway, that was
Rat
our...
Child America.
Hashtag Rat Child America. It was our album dive for the very first Black Sabbath album.
Yes,
So
we hope you enjoyed it.
enjoyable. We enjoyed it just because we love Sabbath, and we hope if you do not own this album, you owe it to yourself, and really you owe it to us to go buy it immediately.
Such a good one. Classic. 50 years old, man. I can't
In
believe it.
half a century.
It's crazy.
I was -5.
Right.
I don't even be thinking I was like a dirty thought in my dad's head yet. I was still like a year off. Probably like Labor Day, 71. Master Reality came out. We was smoking blunts out by the lake. I don't know what's up, but anyway, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about either. So
What?
fair.
Sorry. Anyway, that was our first. That was our first Black Sabbath album dive of the first Black Sabbath, and I'm sure there will be multitudes of other Black Sabbath album dives.
Yes.
At a minimum, the next 5. So there's that.
There is that.
But we thank you for listening. Like we said, if you don't own this already, go download it, go buy it. Support the founders of metal and the riff god, Tony Iommi. The Black Sabbath.
Where it all started, people.
That's right.
You got to go back and dig.
Get you some.
Remember your history.
If
Anyway,
you have it, keep listening.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Metal Nerdery. Thank you for Archie for joining us. Kind of a different vibe here. Boy, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Gonna go back and eat more pasta, right? He's in the kitchen. He's been busy as fuck. He told me to tell you guys that. Anyway, I'll enjoy the Black Sabbath dive. I'll be around for the next one if you don't mind.
Yeah, anytime, Archie. Anytime.
You're welcome, dude. Fucking all right. It was a football special. I'm gonna go watch TV, blokes. See you later.
Football and a pint?
Yeah, those fucking English guys are all about their football.
Punters.
Soccer, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a different kind of football, but I'm not going to tell him. He's bigger than me.
Beer and crumpets? I don't know.
He's bigger than me. He's like Begbie from Trainspotting. It's like, I don't want to fuck with him. It's just like, he's out there. Anyway, thank you kids for listening.
As Ozzy says, we love you all. We love you all.
Continue to spread the wordery about the Metal Nerdery.
And we'll be back next time.
Later.
Nerd out.
Fuck up.
This is Nigel Nigerson, and you're listening to Metal Nerdery. Please follow them on the social media. They are now on Twitter at Metal Nerdery. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram at Metal Nerdery Podcast.